The moment my husband said the words, "I asked my brother," I knew my entire life had been a lie. Not a small lie, not a white lie, not even a big lie. My entire life, my daughter, my marriage, everything. Do you want to know what I did at that moment? I ran to the bathroom and threw up, actually threw up, because my body knew before my mind could process it, something was fundamentally, horrifically wrong. Here's what happened. 3 days before that moment, I was standing in my kitchen holding a DNA test. A test I'd ordered in secret. A test that said my husband wasn't our 14-year-old daughter's biological father. And I actually thought, there had to be a mistake. Some lab error. Maybe I'd contaminated the sample somehow. But when I confronted him, when I held up those results and demanded the truth, my husband didn't deny it. He didn't look confused. He didn't demand a retest. He just broke down. I started crying and said those words that changed everything. I asked my brother to help us get pregnant. Not help us. Not be a donor through a clinic. No, my husband took his brother's sperm and artificially inseminated me. In our home, in our bed, while I thought we were just trying naturally, without my knowledge, without my consent, without telling me for 14 years. 14 years. Every birthday party, every Christmas morning, every school event where I smiled at my husband and thought, we made her together. It was all based on a lie. And here's the worst part, the part that made me realize I didn't even know the man I'd been married to for 17 years. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. He actually said to me, I gave you what you wanted. I gave you a baby. Like my body was just a vessel. Like my consent didn't matter. Like the choice of whose DNA created my child was his decision to make. My name is Rebecca. And this is the story of how one comment at a family reunion led me to discover the most devastating secret of my life. How I had to tell my teenage daughter that her uncle was actually her biological father. How I had to decide whether a marriage could survive a betrayal this deep. And how I learned that sometimes the people we trust most are the ones capable of hurting us in ways we never imagined possible. Because this isn't just a story about infidelity or lies. This is a story about consent. About bodily autonomy, about what happens when someone decides they know what's best for you without ever asking. And if you've ever felt that violation, that sick, sinking feeling of realizing someone you loved made choices about your life without your permission, then this story is for you. Because what happened to me, it's happening to more women than you think. Let me tell you how it started. Let me take you back. Because you need to understand who we were before everything fell apart. My name is Rebecca. I'm 41 years old. I've been married to Marcus for 17 years. 20 years together total. We met in college. I was studying nursing. He was in engineering. We met at one of those terrible campus parties where the music's too loud and the beer's too cheap. And somehow in all that chaos, we found each other. I remember he made me laugh that night. Really laugh. The kind where you throw your head back and forget to be self-conscious about how loud you're being. We got married when I was 24. Small wedding, just family and close friends. Nothing fancy. We couldn't afford fancy, but it was perfect. It was us. 2 years later, we started trying for a baby. And that's when our perfect life started to crack. Month after month, negative pregnancy tests. Year after year, nothing. We tried everything. Tracking ovulation, changing our diets, reducing stress, timing everything perfectly. I went to the doctors. I had tests done. Everything came back normal. Sometimes it just takes time, they said. Just relax, everyone told us, as if relaxing was something you could just decide to do when all you want in the world is to become a mother. Do you know what that feels like? Wanting something so badly that it consumes you? Watching everyone around you get pregnant accidentally, complaining about their pregnancies while you're timing sex like it's a medical procedure? It was torture. Month after month of hope, then devastation. Then starting the whole cycle over again. We were talking about fertility clinics, about IVF, about donors, about adoption. And then, after 5 years of trying, it finally happened. I was pregnant. I can't even describe that moment. The joy, the overwhelming relief, the sense that everything was finally falling into place. Marcus cried when I told him. Actually, I cried. This strong, stoic man who never showed emotion just broke down in our kitchen and held me like I was the most precious thing in the world. "We did it," he whispered. "We finally did it." And I believed him. I believed we'd done it together. The pregnancy was a textbook. Normal, easy even. Sophie came 3 days after her due date. 8 pounds, 2 ounces, perfect in every way. And from that moment on, she was our world. Sophie looked like Marcus from the very beginning. Everyone said so. She had his dark hair, his deep brown eyes, even the same dimple in her left cheek when she smiled. I used to joke that she got nothing from me except my stubbornness. But I was happy about it. Happy that she looked like him. Happy that when people saw us together, they immediately knew we were a family. Marcus was an incredible father. He did midnight feedings, changed diapers without complaint, read bedtime stories in silly voices that made Sophie giggle. He taught her to ride a bike, helped her with her homework, showed up to every school play and soccer game. We were happy. Really, genuinely happy. I trusted him completely. With my heart, with our daughter, with our life together. There wasn't a single moment in 14 years where I doubted him. Not once. Until last summer, when we went to a family reunion and someone said something that planted a seed of doubt so deep, I couldn't ignore it. My mother-in-law organized this big family reunion. Marcus's extended family was scattered across 3 states, and we hadn't all been together in years. It sounded fun. A chance for Sophie to connect with cousins, for Marcus to catch up with relatives he barely saw. The reunion was at Marcus's uncle's place in Tennessee. Big property, lots of space. There must have been 40 or 50 people there. Sophie was excited. She's 14 now, at that age where family stuff is usually boring, but she actually seemed happy to be there. Everything was fine at first, normal. Barbecue, lawn games, cousins running around. Then Marcus's Aunt Carol arrived. I'd met Carol maybe twice before. She lived in Arizona, rarely came around. She was one of those people who says whatever pops into their head. No filter, no tact. Carol was making her rounds, greeting everyone when she got to us. She hugged Marcus first. Then she turned to Sophie. And she just stared at her. Not a quick glance. A long, studying stare, like she was examining her, analyzing her. Then she looked at Marcus, then back at Sophie, then at me. And she said, loud enough for several people nearby to hear, "Well, she sure doesn't look like you, Rebecca." I laughed it off. You know, the way you do when someone says something awkward at a family gathering. Everyone says she's Marcus's twin. Carol tilted her head, still staring at Sophie. Yes, she does look like the family. Very much like the family, actually. Just interesting, that's all. "What's interesting?" Marcus asked. And I heard something in his voice, something tight, controlled. "Oh, nothing," Carol said, waving her hand dismissively. "Just funny how genetics work sometimes. You never know what you're going to get." Then she walked away. And that comment, that one seemingly innocent comment, it hung in the air. I told myself it meant nothing. Carol was just being Carol, thoughtless, inappropriate. But that night, after Sophie went to bed, I couldn't shake it. I pulled up photos on my phone, pictures of Sophie as a baby, as a toddler, as a child, now as a teenager. Marcus was in all of them. The resemblance was undeniable. Same eyes, same smile, same dimple. But me? I stared at those photos for an hour, trying to find myself in my daughter's face. The shape of her nose? Not mine. The curve of her jaw? Not mine. Her smile? Not mine. Her hands, her build, her mannerisms? All Marcus, all his family. Nothing about me. Now I know what you're thinking. So what? Plenty of kids look more like one parent. And you're absolutely right. That's completely, totally normal. But something about the way Carol said it, the way she looked at me when she said it, the way Marcus got tense, it felt like more than just a casual observation. It felt like she knew something. Like there was a joke everyone was in on except me. Over the next few weeks, I tried to push it out of my mind. But then I started noticing other things. Small things I'd never paid attention to before. The way Marcus's mother had always been a little distant with Sophie. Loving, yes, but not in that over-the-top grandma way she was with Marcus's brother's kids. The way Marcus's sister once said we were so lucky, I finally got pregnant. Not blessed, not fortunate. Lucky. Like we'd won a lottery we shouldn't have won, the way Marcus never, ever wanted to talk about the moment I got pregnant. If I ever brought it up, remember when we finally conceived? He'd change the subject immediately. And the biggest thing I'd never questioned before, after 5 years of trying with no success, I suddenly got pregnant naturally. No fertility treatments, no medical intervention, just pregnant. What were the odds of that? I started spiraling. Late at night, lying in bed next to my husband, I'd run through every possible scenario. What if he'd gone to a fertility clinic without telling me? What if he'd used a donor? What if something worse had happened? The thoughts made me sick, but I couldn't stop them. Because once doubt enters a marriage, it's like poison. It spreads. I tried to talk myself out of it 1,000 times. You're being paranoid, Rebecca. You're going to destroy your marriage over a random comment from a rude aunt. This is insane. But I couldn't let it go. The doubt was eating me alive. I needed to know the truth, so I did something I never thought I'd do. I ordered a DNA test online. It came in discreet packaging, plain brown box, no labels, no one would know what it was. I hid it in the back of my closet for a week, just stared at it. I tried to work up the courage to use it, because here's the thing. Once you open that box, once you swab those cheeks and send in that test, you can't know what you're about to find out. There's no going back. The instructions were simple. Cheek swab from Sophie, cheek swab from Marcus. Mail it back. I waited until a Saturday when Marcus took Sophie to her soccer game. I pretended to be sick and said I needed to rest. As soon as they left, I went to work. My own sample was easy. I swabbed the inside of my cheek, sealed it in the tube. Sophie's toothbrush was right there in the bathroom. I could get her DNA from that. But Marcus, that was harder. I felt like a criminal, going through his things in our own bathroom, looking for something, anything with his DNA on it. I finally found an old razor in his drawer. There were still a few hairs stuck in the blade. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely seal the envelope. I mailed it that same afternoon, drove to a post office 3 towns over so there was no chance Marcus would see it. And then I waited. Do you know what those 2 weeks felt like? Every time Marcus hugged me, I felt like a fraud. Every time Sophie laughed at the dinner table, I wanted to cry. Every time Marcus kissed me goodnight, I felt sick because I was testing my family, behind their backs. What kind of wife does that? What kind of mother? But what kind of person ignores a doubt that deep? The envelope came on a Tuesday afternoon. I saw it in the mailbox and my heart just stopped. I stood there on our sidewalk, holding this plain white envelope, and I couldn't breathe. This was it. This was the moment that would either prove I was paranoid or confirm my worst nightmare. I brought it inside, set it on the kitchen counter, and I stared at it. For 3 days, that envelope sat on my counter. 3 days. I'd make coffee and stare at it, do laundry and come back to stare at it, make dinner and avoid looking at it. Marcus asked about it once. What's that? Medical paperwork, I lied. The lie came out so smoothly. I'll deal with it later. He didn't push. He trusted me. God, he trusted me, and I was about to blow up our entire lives. Finally, on Friday morning, after Marcus left for work and Sophie left for school, I sat down at the kitchen table. Just me and that envelope. My hands were shaking as I tore it open. There were several pages inside. Explanations, disclaimers, technical charts with numbers and percentages. I flipped past all of it, looking for the answer. And there it was. Bold letters at the top of the summary page. Probability of paternity, 0%. Marcus Henderson is excluded as the biological father of Sophie Henderson. I read it again, and again, and again. 0%. Not unlikely, not low probability. 0. My husband, the man who'd been at every ultrasound, who cut the umbilical cord, who walked the floor with Sophie when she had colic at 2 a.m., who taught her to tie her shoes and ride a bike and do long division, wasn't her biological father. And he'd known. He had to have known. Because I didn't cheat. I know I didn't. There was no one else, ever. Which meant Marcus did something. arranged something. I made a choice about my body and my life without telling me. I don't remember getting up from the table. I don't remember walking to the bathroom. But suddenly I was there, on the cold tile floor, vomiting into the toilet, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. Because my entire life, my entire marriage, my daughter's existence, everything I thought was real was built on a lie. I called Marcus at work. Can you come home? What's wrong? Are you okay? I need you to come home right now. Something in my voice made him stop asking questions. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes felt like hours. I paced. I cried. I tried to figure out what I was going to say. How do you confront someone about something like this? Hey, honey, why does this DNA test say you're not Sophie's father? It sounded insane, even in my head. When Marcus walked through the door, his face was full of concern. Beck, what's going on? You're scaring me. I didn't say anything. I just held up the DNA results, and I watched his face. I watched the confusion turn to recognition. I watched the recognition turn to fear. I watched the fear turn to resignation, all in the span of about 3 seconds. That's when I knew for certain. He knew. He'd always known. What is this? I said. My voice sounded strange. Flat, dead. He took a step toward me. Beck, don't just answer the question. What is this? I can explain. Explain? I was screaming now. You can explain why a DNA test says you're not Sophie's father? Please, just let me. How long have you known Marcus? How long have you been lying to me? He sank into a chair, put his head in his hands, and said nothing. Answer me. Since the beginning, he whispered. I've known since the beginning. The room tilted. Since the beginning? Since she was born? Since before she was born? Before? I couldn't even process that. What did you do? What did you do? He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. Do you remember when we were trying to get pregnant? How long did it take? Of course I remember. Do you remember that last year, right before you got pregnant? How desperate were we both? Marcus, just tell me what you did. He took a shuddering breath. I went to a doctor. I had testing done, without telling you. My blood ran cold. And he told me my sperm count was almost non-existent. He said the chances of us conceiving naturally were essentially impossible. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed. Because I felt like less of a man. Because I couldn't stand the thought of telling you I couldn't give you the one thing you wanted most. So what did you do? He didn't answer. Marcus, what did you do? I asked my brother, he said quietly. The world stopped. Everything went silent except for the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. You asked your brother, I repeated slowly. He nodded, not looking at me. You asked your brother to do what? To help us. To donate, so you could get pregnant. I backed away from him. You used your brother's sperm? Yes. To get me pregnant? Yes. Without telling me? Yes. Without my consent. I didn't think of it that way. You artificially inseminated me with your brother's sperm without my knowledge. I was trying to give you what you wanted. You wanted a baby so badly. That wasn't your choice to make. My body, Marcus. I know that now. You violated me. Do you understand that? You violated me. I gave you Sophie. I gave you the thing you wanted most in the world, and that's when I completely lost it. I don't remember much of what I said after that. I know I screamed. I know I said things I'd never said to anyone before. I know at some point I told him to get out, and he did. He left. I sat on the floor of our living room for I don't know how long, just sitting there, staring at nothing. My phone rang. My sister, Lisa. Hey, I was just calling to Rebecca. Are you okay? I couldn't even speak. I'm coming over, she said. She was there in 40 minutes. And when she walked in and saw my face, she didn't ask questions. She just held me while I cried. When I could finally speak, I told her everything. The family reunion, Aunt Carol's comment, the DNA test, the confrontation, Marcus's confession. All of it. She didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, "Oh my God, Rebecca, I don't know what to do. What do you want to do?" "I don't know. I don't know anything anymore." "Do you want to leave him?" "I don't know." "Do you want to call the police? Because what he did, that's not okay. That's really not okay." "And tell them what? That my husband secretly used his brother's sperm to get me pregnant 14 years ago? That I just found out? What are they going to do?" "I don't know, but it's not right. What he did was assault, Beck." I knew she was right, but hearing her say it out loud made it real in a way I wasn't ready to face. "What about Sophie?" Lisa asked. "Does she know?" "No, God, no. How do I even tell her something like this?" "I don't know, but she's going to have to know eventually." "Why? Why does she have to know? Marcus is still her father in every way that matters." "Because Uncle Daniel is her biological father. Because she might need medical information someday. Because secrets like this always come out." I knew she was right about that too. But the thought of telling Sophie, of seeing her face when she found out, made me want to die. I stayed at Lisa's house for 3 days. Marcus called constantly, texted, begged me to talk to him. I ignored most of them. Sophie called too. "Mom, where are you? What's going on? Dad won't tell me anything." "I'm at Aunt Lisa's. I just needed some time." "Time for what? Did you guys have a fight?" "Something like that. I'll be home soon." "Okay." But I didn't know if that was true. On the third day, there was a knock at Lisa's door. It was Marcus's brother, Daniel, Sophie's biological father. I didn't want to see him, but Lisa let him in anyway. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. "Can we talk?" he asked. "I don't know what there is to say. Please, I need to apologize." Lisa gave me a look. I nodded. She left the room. Daniel sat down across from me. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry for what I did. For what we did." "Did Marcus send you?" "No, he doesn't even know I'm here." "Then why are you here?" "Because I've been carrying this guilt for 14 years. And now that you know, I can't pretend anymore." "You should have told me from the beginning." "I know." "You should have said no when Marcus asked you." "I know." "Then why didn't you?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Because he's my brother, and he was in so much pain, Rebecca. I'd never seen him like that before. He kept saying he was failing you, that he couldn't give you a child, that you'd leave him if you found out. I would never have done that. I tried to tell him that, but he wouldn't listen. He was convinced this was the only way. And you went along with it?" "Yes, and I've regretted it every single day since." I stared at him. This man was biologically Sophie's father, but had never acted like it. "Do you see her as your daughter?" I asked. He looked genuinely pained. "No, never. She's Marcus's daughter. She's always been Marcus's daughter. I was just a means to an end." "Have you ever wanted to tell her?" "God, no. That would destroy her. And Marcus. And me." "What do you want from me, Daniel?" "I want you to know I'm sorry, and I want you to know that whatever you decide, about Marcus, about Sophie, about everything, I'll support it. Because you're the one who should have made this choice 14 years ago, not us." After he left, I sat there for a long time, thinking about Marcus, about Daniel, about Sophie, about what kind of future we could possibly have. And I realized something. I had to tell Sophie the truth. I went home on the 5th day. Marcus was there looking like he'd aged 10 years. "We need to tell her," I said. "Tell who what?" "Sophie. We need to tell Sophie the truth." His face went white. "No, Beck, no. Please. She has a right to know. She's 14 years old. She doesn't need to carry this." "She's 14, which means in a few years she might do an ancestry DNA test for fun. She might need medical information. We can't keep this from her. But if we tell her now, it comes from us. If she finds out another way, she'll never forgive us." We told her that Saturday, called her into the living room and asked her to sit down. She knew immediately something was wrong. "What's going on? Why are you both being so weird?" Marcus and I looked at each other. He nodded. We'd agreed he would tell her. "Sophie, we need to talk to you about something, about how you were conceived." "Okay." She looked nervous. You know, Mom and I tried for a long time to have a baby. Yeah. What we didn't tell you is that I had fertility issues. We couldn't conceive naturally. Sophie was quiet, listening. So we used a sperm donor. Silence. Mom is your biological mother, but I'm not. I'm not your biological father. Sophie stared at him. What? I'm your dad in every way that matters. I raised you, I love you. But genetically, you came from a donor. Who? Marcus hesitated. Dad. Who was the donor? Uncle Daniel. Sophie's face went completely white. Uncle Daniel is my biological father? No, I'm your father. Daniel just helped us. Does he know? Yes. Does Mom know? She looked at me, betrayed. I just found out 2 weeks ago, sweetheart. So you lied to her too? Yes, Marcus said. I lied to both of you. And I'm so sorry. I need to think. She ran upstairs, her door slammed, and Marcus and I sat there, listening to our daughter cry, wondering if we'd just destroyed her too. The next few months were brutal. Sophie barely spoke to Marcus. She was angry, hurt, confused. But slowly, through therapy and time, she started to heal. She came to me one day. I've been thinking, she said. About what? About Dad, and I realized something. He's still my dad. Biology doesn't change that. Marcus and I started therapy too. It was hard, confronting everything he'd done, the lies, the violation. But slowly we started to rebuild. I'm not going to lie and say everything's perfect now. It's not. There are still moments when I look at him and remember what he did. But there are more moments, so many more moments, when I see the man who's working every day to earn back my trust. It's been 2 years, and I've chosen to stay. Not because I'm weak, not because I don't respect myself, but because I looked at my life and decided that walking away would hurt more than staying. Your choice might be different, and that's okay. If you're listening to this and you're going through your own betrayal, your own devastating discovery, I want you to know something. You're not alone. Whatever you're feeling right now, rage, betrayal, confusion, grief, it's valid. And whatever you decide to do, stay or leave, forgive or don't, that's valid too. Don't let anyone tell you what you should do. This is your life, your body, your choice. I chose to stay, to rebuild, to forgive. But that doesn't mean it was the right choice. It was just my choice, and you get to make yours. What happened to me, what Marcus did, it's more common than you think. Women being violated in ways they don't even realize until years later. Choices being made about their bodies without their consent. If that's happened to you, please know, it's not your fault, and you deserve better. You deserve honesty, respect, autonomy. You deserve a partner who sees you as an equal, not as a means to an end. Marcus made a terrible choice out of shame and desperation. But that doesn't excuse what he did. Nothing excuses it. I'm still healing, still learning to trust again. Some days are good, some days are hard, but I'm here. I'm surviving. I'm rebuilding. And if you're in the middle of your own storm right now, you can survive it too. One day at a time. You're stronger than you know. And you're not alone.